What's going on, buddy? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, help me.
Yep, you're all good. Appreciate you doing this, bud. How you doing,
Sweet.
Noah?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you, man?
Good, man. Thanks for asking. I love your cool looking setup you got in the background. Is that like your like a recording studio or something you got going?
Yeah, well, it's basically just my studio room in my house. I don't have like a huge, array of equipment or anything. I just, use what I use and fill the rest with plants, it seems.
Where are you in Carolina right now? South Carolina?
Yeah, South Carolina.
But I see you got a ring on. Did you recently get married? Or have you been
I
married?
did, yeah. Yeah, I actually got married last April. Yeah, I did.
Okay, cool. Congratulations, brother. I didn't know that.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was yeah, we kept it, we kind of kept it somewhat of a secret for a while. So yeah, that's all. Yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, I don't know if I'm allowed to say anything like that. Your publicist didn't say anything, so
No, you're good. No, you're totally good.
okay.
Everybody knows now. It's all good.
Okay, cool. What is it hot over there in South Carolina for Christmas? Because over here where I'm at in
Uh
Mississippi, it's like now it's like 35 degrees. Tomorrow it's
mhm.
going to be 83. And I'm like, I am so sick.
83.
Like I'm like getting a cold because it keeps getting hot and cold. And it's
Right.
like, come
Yeah.
on, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's I always say we get like, we always get like four seasons in a day in South Carolina. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's been a warmer December than it usually is. Today it's actually the same as you though. It's like I think it's like 40 something outside. But yeah, I mean a couple days ago it was like 70 and I'm
Yeah.
sure it'll warm back up and then drop again. Yeah, it's nuts. I kind of wish it would just I wish it would just pick one and stay there. If it's gonna be hot, just let it be hot and I'll adjust. But yeah, like you said, I think it just like gives people a cold every time.
Well, everybody seems to be blaming COVID, so I think we can blame COVID for the weather as well.
Yeah, well, maybe that'll maybe that'll all
But
go
you know,
uh
I
get
don't want to
better.
bring COVID up in the situation, but COVID has people have said, oh, it's been the worst year, but for a lot of people, it has helped them in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's yeah, I think it's hard to say that it's been a good thing. I do think that it has given some people either some more time at home or time to kind of reevaluate what they want in life. What's important to them. So and that it definitely did that with me. At the same time though, I'm not out there touring right now because I can't
Mm.
not you know responsibly I can't, but it's a weird thing. It's a weird thing to get used to, a weird thing to have to deal with.
But it's helped for artists like you and podcasters like me. I think it helps us in being that okay, now people have more time. They can't just say, "Oh, I'm always busy." They're always home, so they can listen to music. They can listen to podcasts, and I think it helps.
Right,
It
yeah.
helps us in the long run. Sad to say, but
Yeah, I think no, I understand that. I think, yeah, more people are listening probably than ever. Yeah, people have more time on their hands to listen and more time to fill up with podcasts and with music and stuff. So yeah, I mean, it definitely I think it has opened up a lot more people to the music and to podcasts. I think you're right there.
so you're here because you're gonna talk about your new album, which is out on January 14th, called Blue Wall. We're also here to promote your new single, Wishing I Was Wrong, which is out everywhere music is available now. So kind of we'll talk about the album and then we'll go into a big full circle, if you're cool with that. So this is what your third or fourth album, is that right?
Yeah, third album, third
Okay.
original album.
So why
Yeah,
the
so
title? Why the title Blue Wall? I know there's a song on there, but it's just you title it Blue Wall. Is there's like a significant to the song Blue Wall that you just love so much that you named the album after?
yeah, definitely. So Blue Wall is another name for the Blue Ridge Mountains, and I've grown
Okay.
up around the Blue Ridge Mountains my whole life, and Blue Wall itself, the song is kind of a it's kind of a reflection of my home,
Mm,
my hometown. I live in a small-ish town called Greer in South Carolina. It's in the
mm.
upstate of South Carolina, so I'm really close to Western North Carolina and the mountains and stuff. And I'm always there. I'm always hiking and doing stuff there. And I always wanted to, I always wanted to make a song about my home and how it made me feel and all the different well, really all the different ways it made me feel. And I always wanted to make a song about that. But every time I sat down to write one, it just wasn't right. It didn't, it might have felt a little corny. And then I actually was on a hike here around my home and at a trail called the Blue Wall Nature Preserve. And just, I guess just got struck by inspiration and I told my wife when we were on the trail, I was like, I'm gonna write a song about this place when we get back, and then I did, and just fell in love with the song, and I feel like it, hopefully captures kind of how you can feel about growing up in a small town, whether that's good or bad or grateful or sick of it, or I tried to capture kind of every different direction for people that maybe have grown up in a town like I have. So yeah, I mean, Blue Wall is a song about my home, and it just kind of felt right to title the album after it.
I'm curious. I wonder if when you're writing a song, you're like, okay, I'm going to decide to write a song about my hometown. Are you worried that you're not going to get the right picture across, or are you worried you're going to get too photography for some people?
No, I definitely worried a little bit about that. You know, like I mentioned before, I mean, I've tried before to write kind of a hometown. I always kind of think of it as like a love letter to my
Mm,
hometown. It's meant to be, um, kind of the sentiment is meant to be I'm grateful to have grown up here and to have
mm,
had my roots here. But while doing that, yeah, I mean, I definitely. That's why I think I tried to like there's a couple lines in there about loving this place and loving what you're doing there, but there's also a couple lines in there about how well there's a line in there about a girl who's thinking, I've got to get out of this town. I can't chase my dreams in this small place, and I've got to get out of there. So I tried to tackle it from every point of view that I could, just to avoid that weird. I didn't want to like I didn't want people from my town to listen to the song and then be turned off by it.
right,
So
right.
yeah, definitely tried to not put myself in a corner with it.
So growing up in Greer, you were kind of always around music. Like your dad was a session singer, your brother got into drums at an early age and then started recording. And I wonder, because you started out at bass before you picked up a guitar, was it kind of, and my question is kind of a little tangled up, but were you, when they were playing instruments, did you feel left out? Is that kind of why you started playing an instrument, or was it kind of always, in the deed that you had to play musical instrument?
No, I mean, my parents never forced it on me or anything. I
Mm,
think my older brother Ian has always kind of been um the person I looked up to when I was a kid, and we're very close. And when he started playing music, I'm sure that I was either just jealous or just wanted to be like my brother or something like that. And we both were just into music from an early age. We listened to music together all the time, and would kind of dissect albums together and say what we liked and what we didn't like. And so I think if anything, it was probably a way to just be closer to my family, um, and
mm.
yeah, not feel left out in some ways. I don't know if I ever consciously thought that, but I'm sure it was there. I mean, I was a kid, so yeah, started on bass and just I finally got a acoustic guitar when I was I guess 14 or 15, and started teaching myself how to play and learning songs that I liked, and then writing songs, and then fell in love with that, and yeah, just kept chasing it. It's music is one of those things when it really hooks you, it hooks you. So yeah, I mean, I fell in love from an early age, definitely.
Yeah, but what hooked you first? Was it an instrument, some lyrics, or a melody? Like, what was the first thing to capture you
Mm,
from music? Because for me, it was, I remember sitting in my cousin's like, she's 4 years older than me. And so she always lived up the hill from me. And that's where I learned a lot of my music was from her. We would
Yeah.
you would sneak up there. I wasn't allowed to listen to hip hop or anything like that. So I'd go up there and be like,
Mm.
I would listen to the new Akon or the new Eminem or whatever was hot at the
Right.
time. And I would listen to it. And I remember her playing, she goes, I want to show you some of my favorite music other than hip hop. And I remember she showed me John Mayer. And I
Mm.
remember when I heard John Mayer, I was like, damn, this right
Yeah.
here. And I was 7, 8, however old I was. And
Right.
I remember thinking, whoa, this guy has a song. I mean, it was crazy. Like he had stopped this train. And I remember thinking,
Yeah.
I'm scared of getting older. Like I don't want to see and I remember thinking that at 10 years old
Yeah,
and
for
being
sure.
like, whoa, this cat. And then it's been, John Mayer's been my favorite ever since.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely, I definitely had that kind of the same thing happen to me. For me, I guess one thing that was kind of unique for me and my brother, we had gone to church at the time with um two people that used to be in the Marshall Tucker band,
Right.
and they were always heavy influences on us, and we're just cool, and not bothered by two young kids asking them questions, and just filling up all their time, and still to this day two of the best players I know. But I think after kind of hitting it off with them, it was just getting to sit down with them a lot, and just pick their brain, and hear their stories of when they were on the road, or when they're in the studio and stuff. And that stuff is just kind of infectious. It's a lifestyle that I really wanted. And I think too, I probably got really into pursuing music when I first started singing live in front of people, and getting good reactions, because there's something. The only thing I think that could put you off from doing music is getting bad reactions from the crowd or whatever. And I
Yeah.
just was lucky enough to sing a song that people liked, and once you get that little taste of, oh, I'm actually good at something cool,
Mm.
then it definitely sticks.
With your dad being a session singer, was there ever anything where you're like, oh, I do think I can sing a little bit. People are telling me I'm okay. Was there any plan for you to follow his footsteps to be a session singer? Because I think session singers happen to be pretty cool. Honestly, a lot they get a lot of
Oh
bad
yeah.
rap.
No, for sure. I don't know that I ever really thought about that as much. As soon as I started playing live for people,
Mm.
as you
It
can
just kind of the
imagine, one of
bug
my
just kind of
favorite.
hit you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I just kind of knew that. Well, I'm going to do this in some capacity. I didn't quite know exactly what that would be yet. For a long time, I was in marching band and stuff too, in middle
Mm.
school and high school, and for a long time I was like, well, maybe I'll grow up to be like a band director or something,
Right.
because that's a practical thing that you can like get to in certain steps. And uh, once I started singing a lot more and singing out a lot more, just I was like, well, no, I'm gonna be a singer. I'm gonna I'm gonna be a singer. I'm gonna be a singer
Yeah.
songwriter and just do the thing. And I just had a lot of support from family and friends, and we weren't well off by any means, but I had a lot of emotional support,
Sure.
which is huge for a small kid or even a teenager who's wanting to do that, and has dreams in the art field, especially. Having people around you when you're young tell you, no, that is a valid thing to do for a living. um, that's a game changer, I think, and that's one of the reasons that I'm able to do what I do now, which is awesome.
It's kind of like kids today where their dream job, I want to play video games on YouTube and have and
Right.
you're like, 10 years ago, that was crazy. But now it's like, you know what?
Yeah.
That's just as easy as being a doctor. I
Yeah.
mean, honestly,
Hey,
I mean,
yeah, I mean, it's that, but that is the same sentiment, like that's
right.
that's the thing. These avenues that are open now just weren't open for a long time. Which you can't blame all of that on your parents or whoever. It's just they didn't grow up with that
Oh, it's the
opportunity
word, but
that
you can't
that's
blame,
now.
right? You can't blame, right. You're 100%. You can't blame your parents for something that was not there when they were, you know what I mean? When they were your age, they were
Yeah.
growing up. They're like, what is this thing called the internet? Yeah, and then
Yeah.
now, like it's like my parents now, they're just now, I got them an Amazon Fire Stick for their bedroom,
Yeah.
and they think that's
Right.
the coolest stuff in the world. They're like, you mean to tell me I don't have to wait for Yellowstone to come on TV again if I miss it? I can watch it. I'm like,
Right. Yeah.
yes. So it's always
Yeah.
like 2 a.m. phone calls. How
Right.
do I go to change the channel over here? I don't want to watch Netflix no more. I want to watch a movie. I'm like, well,
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, it's the same thing. And then we're going to be the same way, Noah, in 25 years if we ever have kids.
Yeah.
It's like
Probably.
we're going to be like,
Yeah.
what is this thing called? What, whatever. This was
Yeah.
not here when I was a kid. So no, you're not
Right.
allowed to do it, because it's like
Yeah.
music, for example, like me. Like I grew up listening to nothing but country music. That's
Mhm.
all my parents listened to. That's all I was allowed to listen to. Everything else was
Right.
devil music.
Sure.
And then
Sure.
growing up, you find it for yourself, and you're like, this is actually not that bad. It's not.
Yeah.
They called it devil music because you had people like Motley Crue, and they were claiming to be
Sure.
devil work, and it was just like, but they blame, but it's just the world.
Yeah.
It's the
Well, yeah, and you
news.
have
It's
to
the world.
understand. I think people have to understand too. I mean, because I grew up with a healthy amount of that way of thinking too. Just growing up in the South,
Yeah. Right.
anything but gospel is devil music.
Oh,
So,
yep. Yep.
I understand that. But I think as you get older, you have to. I think the sooner people started to understand, oh no, every band that is like that or
Mm.
claims to do that kind of stuff, it's entertainment. It's a show, it's a act, it's
It's
that's what it
I
is, and
heard
there's nothing wrong with that, but that's what it is.
Paul Stanley say it the best. He was talking about when they first started out with the makeup, that people
Mhm.
would come and they would bring crucifixes because they were thought they were
Right.
demons. And he's like, but you're not
Yeah.
sitting over here watching The Conjuring and thinking that's the same
Right.
thing. You're not bringing a crucifix to the movie theaters. He's like, it's
Sure.
crazy. He
Yeah.
said it's entertainment. It's a movie you're watching. We're just playing
Right.
music.
Yeah. Hmm.
So I kind of want to go off subject for a little bit. I want to ask you, what makes you turn to a 3-year-old kid again? Like, what is something that just makes you act like a child? Because, and it brings it up because I'm almost 20, I'll be 24 next month. And I was like,
Hmm.
there is no way I should be acting like this. And I went to see the new Spider-Man movie, and I was acting like a damn kid, man. I was like, okay,
Right.
we can't eat before, because if we eat before, that means I'm gonna have to go to the bathroom, and I'm gonna have to pee anywhere. So I can't drink anything to drink
Yeah.
because I'm gonna miss it. And it's like that and
Right.
wrestling make me 6 years old
Nice. Yeah.
again. And it's just, but that feeling is something you don't want to get rid of.
Yeah. For me, I would say it's probably. I mean, it's another. Well, a couple different movies, but I mean, any like, for me, I came to like Harry Potter pretty late in life.
Mhm.
As far as when everybody else got into it, I just either I feel like I wasn't allowed to watch it when it
Sure, me
first
too.
came out. Like
Because
again,
because
one
it's
of those.
witchcraft.
It's devil. Yeah, it's witchcraft. So I got into it a few years ago,
Yeah.
and now it's like every time I watch it, I am a tiny baby.
Really?
I just
Really?
love it. Yeah, I don't know. I really 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 enjoy it, and I'm that way with Lord of the Rings is the same way. I can watch it literally anytime it's on for any. I try to go. I try to learn about it and like figure out different people that are in the lore and stuff, and it's just things like that. I can nerd out about that stuff for a while. So yeah, I'd probably say it's either like Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings. Definitely turns me into a kid.
You know, I watched the first 3 Harry Potters, and then I realized that they kept getting longer and longer.
Oh
And
yeah.
I was like,
Oh yeah.
whoa. Like, because I remember just watching the Lord of the Rings because everyone was watching it.
Mm,
And I did the same thing with
yeah.
Star Wars. Was never
Right.
could understand it, but I understand now Star Wars, the first 3 are really, really good. The other ones,
Oh yeah.
give or take, they're actually very fantastic from the late 70s. I mean, they're great. But I remember watching the Lord of the Rings, and they're just walking up a hill and it ends. And just being like, so I wasted 4 hours of my entire of this whole day to not understand a movie, don't know what's happening, and just end it with them walking up a hill. What is happening? Same thing with Harry Potter. It just kept getting longer, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be the Lord of the Rings, so I'm just gonna stop. But
Sure.
what is
It's not for everybody.
no? I mean, I don't hate it, but I also am not dying to watch the next one.
Sure. Yeah.
But I'm also, I'm a big movie nerd as well. So I want to know, last week I just did the best movies of the year. I got one of my pals on here and we broke down the best movies of the year. So what is your best movie that you've seen this entire year? And I'm putting you on the spot here. I know that's a hard question because there's a lot of movies.
Well, I'm trying to think. Honestly, I haven't watched that many movies this year. I feel like I've definitely watched more like series, like TV shows and stuff.
Okay.
And I may have to, just because off the top of my head, I can't remember the last movie I watched. Well, I mean, last night I was watching the new Beatles documentary, and that was nuts. And I definitely loved it. I don't.
Okay, now let me ask you this about the Beatles documentary. I'm halfway through the first episode. I started late because all the hype was around it.
Yeah, I started last night too.
Yeah. Okay, how far did you get into it?
I did the first episode.
Okay,
it was a lot. I mean, it's like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, it's like a 9-hour documentary. But does it? But for me, when you tell me you're going to make a documentary about the Beatles making my favorite Beatles album, Let It Be, I get kind of irritated when you give me the first episode as little background on the Beatles. Like, you know what I mean? Like the first half of the episode was the history of the Beatles. I don't come here to see that. I love the Beatles. I know the history of the Beatles. Yeah,
so it would be, that's the first, I would say that was probably the first 20 minutes of it.
Okay.
I think.
That's about how far I got into it.
Yeah. So push through a little longer.
Okay.
And then it just switches to it's basically just like raw footage of them in the Get Back sessions, working out all these incredible songs. And like you'll hear, there's no narration. There's no like anything like that. It's just the Beatles and their crew trying to figure out what they want to do for this TV special they want to do and for this album. And you'll hear them talking, about stage plots, and then in the background, Paul's in the background writing Let It Be on the piano, and like you can just hear it. It's like not quite what it's nuts. It's crazy to actually listen to and watch. But yeah, definitely get through. If you can get through the first 20, it gets a lot. It's one of those things that like I almost put it on. I was cleaning the house the other day and I was like, okay, everyone's talking about this.
Mm-hmm.
I might as well put it on and just try and get through some of it. So I put it on and I got through the first 30 minutes and I hadn't cleaned anything because it's one that you cannot look away from it. Once the real footage starts, you can't look away from it.
Okay.
It's your favorite people just working stuff out in these crazy ways. But yeah, I'd say if you get past the first like 20-30 minutes, you're gonna love it.
What is the it's crazy to see that we can watch such a perfect piece of, because I've heard it's a perfect documentary for any type of music fan, but it's crazy that we can watch it on a streaming platform and we're not going to have to pay like hundreds of dollars, because if this would have come out 10 years ago, you would have had to be exclusive fan club for the Beatles in order to just watch this.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, streaming's completely changed everything.
What is the you mentioned you watched a lot of series. What's the best series you've seen so far this year?
Oh yeah. I really enjoyed there's a series on Netflix called Midnight Mass, and it's like this really creepy kind of like it came out around Halloween, and I love anything that's like
me too
and weird. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. Kind of a new take on the vampire. But yeah, I'd say Midnight Mass is probably my favorite.
I actually just finished the show this morning, and it's on Apple Plus. It's called The Shrink Next Door. It's got Will Ferrell and Paul Rudd in it. Mm-hmm. Two of my favorites. But when I started to watch it, I didn't know the story about it. And the story kind of, and I'll tell this quickly, is this guy Will Ferrell, and you're not gonna believe the acting that Will Ferrell and Paul Rudd do as
Yeah.
non-comedic actors in this movie, this show.
Right.
They are like
Mhm.
dramified, and I'm like, this proves that they are legit actors. They can't do
Oh,
just
I love it. Yeah, I
it-
love
it's
seeing
it's
them do stuff like
it's
that.
amazing, and I'm watching it
Mhm.
for the acting really because I'm like, there's no way they're believable. They're fucking
Right.
believable, dude. But anyways,
Yeah.
the story is about this guy that lost his parents, and he got their business, and he's just a depressed guy. He can't get
Yeah.
any women. He can't get anything. He has money but can't spend it on anybody. He has a sister who kind of
Right.
takes
Yeah.
advantage of him. And
You know
so
what? I feel like I've heard this before.
it used to be a podcast. It was a big
Yes,
podcast
that's what it
before,
was. Yeah.
and they turned it to a
I
show.
think I've
And
listened to it.
the guy goes to a therapist, and this
Mhm.
therapist
And he starts taking advantage of him.
takes advantage of him for 30
Yeah.
years. Dude,
Yeah, I remember that.
I
That's
had
a
I
sad story.
it, but I'll tell you this. I do think in the beginning the therapist was legit trying to help um
Mhm.
the I don't even remember his name, the Will Ferrell's character.
Yeah.
I think he
Right.
was legit trying to help him. But once he
Mhm.
realized what he could do with this guy because he was so depressed and wanted to hear anything, he was like, you know
Yeah.
what? I've got this. And it just, oh man, it was crazy. And to see that guy that got his license revoked like January of this year.
Right. Yeah. Man, that late. Wow.
That yeah, that and they did like a piece on it. I was listening, watching some news coverage
Yeah.
of it earlier. The
Mhm.
dude had stolen like hundreds of millions of dollars from his patients and was just
Yeah.
mind screwing them.
Yeah.
He was screwing them up, and it was
Right.
made you emotional
Yeah,
just
that's
because you're
awful.
like, why would this? It makes you like, man, I don't want to go see a therapist ever again in my damn life.
Right. Yeah, I remember listening. Yeah, I remember listening to that podcast. I think I enjoyed it. But it was, man, it was, yeah, it's sad to hear that someone can have that much sway over someone's life. That's nuts.
If you ever get a chance, I know you don't have a lot of time to watch movies, but while we're on this subject, if you ever have the chance, because you're a music guy and I'm a big music nerd, on Netflix, there's this movie. It's called Tick Tick Boom.
Okay.
It's got Andrew Garfield in it. He was one of the
Mhm.
Spider-Man, all that. But the
Yeah.
movie is basically about John. His name is Jonathan Larson, I think is his name, the guy that wrote the Rent Broadway play.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it goes into his story, and his story is that he was struggling all his life to write this perfect play.
Mhm.
And it's him writing the final. He has like 6 days to write a final song. And then the
Right.
story of Jonathan Larson is the day Rent premiered on Broadway, he died the morning of the play, didn't get to see it brought out. And
Wow.
it was,
I didn't know that.
and I was like, nah, I'm not a music fan or musicals. I don't really like those.
Yeah.
I'm not going to watch. Dude, I've been listening to the album for the past week and a
Mhm.
half. It's phenomenal.
That's crazy. Yeah, I like musicals. I'm trying to get more into them. Yeah, I didn't know that he never saw the Broadway play.
Never saw it. And that's not a
Yeah.
spoiler
Right.
because if you would do history, it would tell you anyways, but
Sure. Yeah.
it's crazy. Have you
That's
seen
nuts.
what's the greatest musical you've ever seen that you think? Because you mentioned you love musicals.
Yeah, I do. I mean, for me, I think Les Miserables is probably my
Ooh,
favorite.
which one? Do you
I
talking about the
still
older one or the one with like Russell Crowe and Hugh Jackman?
I like most iterations of it. But
Okay,
you know, I would say I haven't seen it live
okay.
before, and I would really like to. And I'll take pretty much any cast for that. But yeah, I would say honestly, any form that it is in, I've enjoyed, and it's because the music is so good. The music is
Oh,
some of those songs
yeah.
are some of my favorite songs. So yeah, definitely Les Miserables. And then I loved Hamilton. I did. When it came out, I listened to that nonstop.
Have you seen
So yeah.
Hamilton? Have you seen it live or you just watched like the Disney?
No, I saw the Disney thing. Yeah, I'm unfortunately not affluent enough to see it live in person.
Isn't that aren't those tickets like $20,000 a piece or something like that? They're like
I'm sure they've
massively
come down.
expensive.
Yeah, they're insane. They're insane. But I'm sure there's ways to see it now. Maybe I'll see a touring production of it or something.
So man, going back, so when you're getting into your musical career, you first covered a U2 song on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
You put it
Mhm.
up on YouTube. It gained somewhat of attraction. The Ellen DeGeneres show contacted you. Is like, hey, yada yada yada. Let's want to play a clip of it, and then this
Right.
led
Yeah.
to fans seeing you from people or from Ellen coming to you and say, hey, we want you to do more videos, and so you kind of just did more cover videos of other people.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of how everything started for me was covering other people's work and um, something I've, all and I don't mean to sound like a jerk or anything, but something I'm good at is changing up
Right,
cover songs and stuff. It's
right.
something I've always been really good at. And I don't really know why that is. I just kind of have a knack for it. And when I was 17, probably 16 or 17, I started putting stuff on YouTube and uh yeah, had some good success with some of those. Yeah, the first one I did was Where the Streets Have No Name by U2, and U2 is one of my favorite bands of all time.
Okay,
And I just worked up this like different version of it and put it online and yeah, the Ellen DeGeneres show liked it and put it on their website. Back then it was funny. She was gonna have her own record label. That was the plan. She put
really,
my video in a contest. Yeah, it was in like a contest with a couple other YouTubers at the time, and they were gonna like sign whoever won to this label. And I think I want to say that I won, but I can't remember now. But
hmm
nothing ever happened because I think the label just kind of went under, before it even got started. So, but it did give me a lot of eyeballs and a lot of ears on my voice, and yeah, decided to keep doing it and put out these videos once a week if I could, and yeah, then a couple years later, I had a viral video with
hmm
my cover of "Sexy and I Know It" by LMFAO, and that really kind of changed everything. That one really started everything for me, I would say, as far as professional music goes. I started touring a lot
Okay,
more.
stop right there.
Started
Stop
working
right
with the
there.
first band.
I don't
Yeah.
stop right
Okay.
there.
All
Don't finish the story. Don't
right.
finish the story. Don't finish the story. Because if we keep going, I'm not going to be able to ask this question that I think should be asked, and I've never heard asked in any of your interviews that I have watched or listened to or read, which is so they wanted you to do more cover videos. They're like, hey, we want to keep these going. When was it when you finally decided, hey, I'm going to put my own stuff out here? I think that was after the Sex and I Know It cover, but what were you feeling when you said, okay, I'm going to post my own stuff? Was it nervousness? Did you ever back out of doing it at one point? What was the feeling of, forget these cover videos for a second? I'm a real
Mhm.
artist that writes their own music.
Yeah, well, so I would say it was right after "Sexy I Know It." I had already been writing my original music at that time, and I was preparing to record my first album. And when "Sexy I Know It" happened, I got this huge influx of people paying attention to me, and yeah, I mean, I think my first reaction was, okay, I'm not okay. I need to like show these people I'm not a cover artist. I know that I am because I put this stuff out, and there's all these cover videos, but I'm not a cover artist. Like in my heart, in my soul, that's not who I am. So, yeah, I mean, I tried to put my original stuff out there as much as I could at that point. And just kind of started dropping it in with the influx of covers and stuff too. But yeah, I mean, from early on, I've always had my sights on getting people to my original music, and it's a process,
Mhm.
because you're using the covers for a certain thing and they work, but after a while, um, for me, I just felt like my heart wasn't in the covers anymore. There just weren't, I enjoyed doing them; they were okay, but after a while, I just it's like, this isn't, I know
Mhm.
that I'm going to take a hit in my viewership. I know I'm going to take a hit in my downloads and my streams and stuff, but yeah, I've got to do what's actually good for me, and what gives me joy.
It's
'Cause,
kind of like
so,
a
I don't know.
it's kind of like a, I could put this out there, sure, I may lose people, but what if I don't lose people? What if I gain more people?
Sure. Yeah. Or like, what if the ones that stick around are
Right,
real fans?
right.
And it's not that I stopped doing covers altogether when Sexy I Know It hit. I did plenty more after that, but um, it's definitely more in recent years. I don't really do them anymore. If I do covers now, I'm usually doing them on like TikTok or something in like a shorter format. Which is fine. That feels better because it's just like something I can dip my toe in, get that same feeling of joy from it, and then still push my original music and stuff. And I'm not like an anti do covers guy. Like, it gets your name out there, got my name out there. But it's at the end of the day, you gotta do what you actually believe in, and that for me is my original music.
Okay, so you release Sexy and I Know It. It goes really, really viral. I think the last time I looked, it had like what 30, maybe 30 million views or something like that.
It's
Something along
somewhere
the
around there, yeah.
something real along there.
Mhm.
You then release your first album. You go on tour performing at college parties or somewhere along there, right?
Yeah, so college. God, just a bunch of college campuses. Yeah, there's a I think what a lot of people don't know this, but there's a organization that books all of the entertainment for universities and colleges all
Okay.
over America, and they're called NACA. And what I did after Sexy I Know It was I did a 20-minute showcase um, at this NACA convention. So that's basically they hold it in the big convention center. A bunch of representatives from schools all over the country come and they watch these showcases, and then they book who they like for their upcoming semester, their upcoming term. And I did this NACA showcase, and I remember going into it, and me and my dad's my like tour manager, and
Mhm.
at the time he was really doing the managing and stuff, and I remember the both of us talking about it. And we're like, okay, if we get 15 books out of this, that's great. And we're like, okay, cool. So did the showcase, and I got like 90 something bookings out of that one showcase. And I mean, a lot of that was to do with Sexy I Know It, but I think
Okay, so are they
people just like
paying you for doing these college parties?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's good money too. I mean,
Okay.
colleges pay good money. The thing with them is they are each show is very different from one another. So if you're doing the college circuit and you're not doing like, because I wasn't doing like frat parties. What
Okay.
I was doing was, the college would have some event and I would be the entertainment for that event, or they would make my concert the event. And those were the great ones because they would really put work into it, and they would make sure you had a good sound system and stuff. But then there's other times where you're literally playing 30-minute set in like a cafeteria somewhere, and no one is paying attention. It's really kind of odd. So we had over 100 of those shows booked, and drove all over the place and flew all over the place to do these shows, and each one was so different from the last. I had no
Mm.
idea what I was walking into every single time. It was just me and my acoustic guitar and my dad, and we had a great time. Learned a lot. Learned how to keep an audience's attention, because college kids are hard to, to keep their attention anyway. Especially when it was me. I was younger than most of them
You're right.
while I was doing it. So yeah, it was a good thing though, because I got a lot of experience under my belt that way. And it did, it was good money. So I was making decent money as a probably a 19-year-old, 20-year-old. So yeah, that was nice.
Okay. So you're on tour, touring these college campuses, playing to three people eating a turkey sandwich in the cafeteria. You
Yeah.
then get a phone call, and it's people from Glee. And they say, "Hey, Noah, we think you're going to fit this. You are a shy, chubby kid. We need that exact person for the final season of Glee."
Pretty
So
much.
you do the line readings, you get it,
Hmm.
and then but so here's my thing. You never did acting before, right?
Yeah, never done
So
anything like that before.
was this, and if the true answer is yes, I don't care because I don't think it's a cop out. But were you thinking, okay, I can do this because it's going to propel my musical career to nowhere knows where? Because Glee was such a giant show at one time.
Mhm. Yeah, I to be honest, I had a lot of different thoughts at the time. Because one, it was just something that was so not on my radar at all. I mean, you couldn't have picked a more random thing to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I just wasn't expecting it. So when it first came through, when the offer first came through, I did not want to do it. I was terrified, you know. And again, I was probably 19 or 20 and just
Okay.
immature and
Let me
not
ask you
like
this:
just didn't understand it, you know.
terrified of what? Because I
Uh
understand because if it was the singing, I don't understand why you would be scared, didn't want to do it, scared about the singing because
no,
you're
it's just
singing in
making
front
a
of people
fool of
every time.
myself. Well, it was making a fool of myself in front of actual actors. I was
Okay,
afraid of that.
that's fair enough.
I was somewhat afraid of. I had been to Los Angeles plenty of times before that, but never to like Hollywood and never working on a Hollywood set for hours and hours at a time. And I just had no idea. I had no way to prepare for that.
Mhm.
But you know, I also had good people around me who would graciously remind me and gently remind me that, you know, there's millions of people out there that would literally give their left arm to do this and it's just falling in your lap. And I feel like you have to at least see that through and see where it takes you. And they were right. And I'm really glad that I listened to them, and I'm glad that I did it because
Mhm.
I've gained a lot of fans from that show, and they're fans that are still fans
Wow,
to
still
this
after all
day.
that
And
time.
yeah, absolutely. Glee fans are very, very loyal, loyal fans. They can be a little nuts sometimes, but they're really good people, and they're super loyal. And yeah, I learned a lot. I made some good friends. I learned a little bit about TV. I learned a little bit about acting. I still don't really consider myself an
Hmm.
actor, but it was a incredible experience. And for me, um, was kind of it was my very short kind of college experience. You know, I never went to school like that, so I, had my own place in Los Angeles for a little under a year. So it was like it was a good time for me to kind of find myself and be by myself. And yeah, it was a great thing. I honestly, looking back on it, I'm so happy that I did it.
I want to ask you this, and I want to know your thoughts on it. So it was the final season of Glee. You
Mhm.
join as the, like they said, the shy chubby kid, right? Now,
Yeah.
I want to know at the series finale, because I've heard Paul Rudd say this before, and I want to know if you kind of felt the same way when he joined Friends. Was like two seasons from the end of the show, and when the season or when the show finally ended, he was like, "I'm not crying because I feel like what's happening? I'm just now on
Just
the
got
high
here.
horse now. I've just got here." So did you kind of feel the same way where you're like, I don't, I'm not sad because I just got here. It's just happening and now it's all over.
There was a little bit of both for me actually, and I do completely understand that way of thinking. Because I came in the last season. It was
Mm.
me and four other new people that came in, and we were all very tight. We were all very close. Just being the new group of people,
Being the
all coming in
rookies.
at the same time. It was yeah, and it was most of our first time on TV. So I think there's one, maybe two of us that had been on TV before. So we were we had each other's backs, and I made really good friends with those folks. And um, I remember at the end, uh, at the finale, at the rap party and stuff, it was I was emotional because I think this was a big deal for me. It was an undertaking that I had never done before, and it was done, and I did it and saw it through, and it was over and it was coming to a close. So that was kind of emotional, but at the same time, I hadn't been there for 6 or 7 years like the rest of the cast had. I hadn't, done all of
Mm.
especially, and it was a show that was more popular in its first 3 seasons or so, but it was still a super popular show. And this one crew and this one cast of people were there for years and years and years. So I can't pretend that I had the same amount of emotional toll as they did, but it was definitely, it's kind of just a chapter of my life coming to an end, in a smaller way than the other people, but still the same thing.
Few more questions for you as we kind of wind down here.
Mhm.
What's one conspiracy theory that you believe in, or you're just like, okay, there's something not right about this?
Mm, hmm. I mean, I do believe that, um, that maybe we have had some kind of contact with like alien kind or something like that. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not super well versed in conspiracy theories, but I do believe we probably know something about alien intelligence or something like that. I just can't. One, I do definitely, but I believe that there probably is intelligent life out there, in the in
Mm.
another galaxy or wherever. But I just feel like there's something that either the government does know, or something that the public has not been
Yeah,
prepared for yet, or something. I just do. I don't know. I just feel like
there's
if there was anything.
there's classified folders that no
Sure.
one can get to.
Yeah. Sure. And I mean, there's a lot. There's I don't. There's a lot of. My thing is with conspiracy theories. I think they can be super dangerous, but at the same time,
Right,
there are a lot of normal things about our everyday life and country and stuff that are more of a conspiracy theory than these
right.
big cooked up crazy ones.
There are some people that are so into conspiracies that they just like devote their entire life to them.
Yeah.
I'm like, why would you rot your mind with that? Like, I
Yeah.
love thinking about it. Like, just the what if factor. Like,
Oh,
damn,
sure. Yeah.
what if Elvis didn't die in 77? What if something? It's just that thought of what
Right.
if,
Yeah.
and I love that,
Mhm.
even though it does. You could spend more time learning about history or whatever, but it's just
Yeah.
kind of takes the fun out of it if you're just like, be a man, don't listen to that type of shit. When you're just like,
Sure.
well, if
Yeah.
it was right, then you were kind of on pace with the people.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But who's to say we're not the aliens, Noah? We could be
That's
the
true. Yeah.
aliens.
Who's to say we're not in a simulation? It could be. This could all be a
Have
test.
you
This
have
could
you
all
ever
be
thought
a
about
theory.
have you ever I don't believe this, but I've thought about it for a while. Like
Mhm.
Dr. Seuss, like how all of his stories, like Horton Hears a Who, they're on one
Mhm.
big flower, or the Grinch is in a
Yeah.
snowflake. And I'm
Yeah.
like, damn, what if that's
Right.
us? What if
Mhm.
God has like two different earths and he's trying to
Yeah.
figure out which one's the bad, and that's when the revelation is gonna come. And I'm like, and then you just go down this big ass rabbit hole. And you're like, okay,
Yeah.
enough talking. Let's take some Xanax. Enough thinking.
Right. Or we're in like a. Yeah. I think what was the thing? What show did this? Oh, the Game of Thrones was. There was always like a. There was always a like a conspiracy theory within Game of Thrones that the whole
Mm.
universe took place within like a giant's eyeball or something. It was just nuts. Some crazy thing like
But
that.
it's cool to think about, though. You know what I
Sure.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's really not likely, but damn, what if we're just
Yeah.
a piece of cotton in a pillow? And then the
Yeah.
earthquakes are people fluffing their pillows. I mean, who knows? Who knows?
That's a good one. I like that one.
So after Glee, you leave. You put out another
Mhm.
album. You come across America's Got Talent. And I don't want to spend too much time on this because I know you talk about it all the time.
It's all
But
good, man.
when you come across and this is what surprised me. I was listening to one of your interviews, and you had mentioned that The Voice and all the people were trying to get you in for an audition. I did not know, as much as I'm into the country music scene or the music scene in general, I did not know that they do that. I did not know they reach out to people and like, hey, you don't have to perform for the producers. Just come and perform in front of the judges because we already know you're good. I didn't know that. That's an
Yeah.
interesting
So
piece.
right. So they do. there are 2 or 3 different versions of auditions that you can do for those kinds of shows.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, yes, you can, just as the general public, you can audition and go through that big long process. But these shows have people who are literally their job is to research the internet and find people that they might think are a good fit for the show.
And I don't know why I'm
And yeah, I mean,
surprised because even though it's a competition,
yeah,
it's also reality
it's a
television.
TV show. Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that most people have to get their brain around is, yes, it's a competition, but it is a TV show.
And they also know, they
It's much
also
like,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
well, I was just gonna say, it's like what we said earlier about, like with Motley Crue and stuff. Like it's an entertainment show. That's what they're trying to do. So with that kind of thing, yeah, I mean, The Voice and American Idol and America's Got Talent a few times had already sent me stuff for a couple consecutive seasons, just like, hey, if you we'd love to have you on this season. And every time, it just those shows just weren't really my thing. I didn't really want to go through it. And then America's Got Talent asked again, and I don't know, I just kind of felt like it just kind of felt like the right thing to do at the time. And I'm glad I did it. I had a good time, and I had more of a good time when I really started to realize that it was what it was, that it was a TV show, that I was on there to entertain people and not to, I never went on thinking, I'm going to go and win this whole thing. I went on like, okay, if I get even one thing on the air, then that's 15 million people looking at my stuff. And that's great, So I got to do that several times. I got to semifinals, and it was kind of bittersweet when I got kicked off, because I had really started to kind of come around to the show a little bit more. I think when I first started it, I went in with my own preconceived notions of what it would be, and some of those were proved right, but some of them were proved wrong, and I was having more fun by the time I got kicked off. So
Right.
I was a little bittersweet when I got kicked off, but I was also ready to kind of move on and focus on my music again.
Yeah. Yep. And I got a question about this real quick, but I was also going to say that even though it is reality TV, and a lot of people are going to get mad when I say this, but it's true. It's reality. It's they have a progression. They kind of know who they want to be the top 5 or the top 4 or the top 3. They kind of have their picks already who they want, and it just shows
Yeah,
that they're that it shows that a lot of people can break the boundaries and break through and be like, no, that's not how we're going to win this.
yeah. Well, I think I think they and I don't have any proof for
No, I
this,
don't
but I
either.
do
I don't
think
either. I
that
just
but I do think, of course, what they're doing is they're trying to figure out they're trying to figure out who the audience likes best, right? Like they're trying to figure out who the viewers like best, and if they like that person best, then they're going to continue on, because that gets them more views and more eyeballs.
right.
So that's what it's all about, right? It's about butts and seats, and it's about people watching their TVs.
So I went and watched your entire performances on America's Got Talent. Besides the fact that I actually do, that's one of the reality shows I do enjoy watching because it's just a little bit of everything. Um,
Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun.
it's
TV
fun.
show.
So I think it was like your second or third performance, you start to sing. Simon Cowell stops you, and he's like,
Mhm.
"Nah, don't do this song. Do another one." What
Yeah.
were you feeling? I bet you're like, what the fuck is happening? Because when Simon Cowell tells you that, because he's one of the biggest people in Hollywood for music, you need to listen to
Yes.
Simon Cowell. And it's like, uh-oh, what's that? But I bet once you stopped that and you went to the next song, whichever it was you sang, and he gave you the thumbs up and the appreciation, you're like, whew, okay, that part's over. Now I need to really pick what songs, best fit me.
Yeah. So the thing with that, that was a little more TV magic, actually, because
Okay.
what really happened is I sang a Prince song that I'd done an arrangement of, and it wasn't my best performance. Definitely wasn't. I felt it while I was on stage. I'm like, I'm not selling this the way I need to. I was kind of nervous, but so I'd played that song. I'd played it in its entirety, And then um, after I got done with that song, Simon did say that he just wasn't like feeling it. You know, he
Mm.
wasn't. He didn't hate it, but he didn't love it. So then he asked me to play something else. But then when I played "Whipping Post" by the Allman Brothers.
Okay.
And that worked out really well. And that's a cover that I still play to this day, like in my live set. But I played that one and they all loved it and stuff. And then when I went and watched the edit for the episode, they had this like dramatic
Right.
moment there where he's like, "I'm going to stop you." I'm like, "Oh, wait a minute. That
He didn't stop me.
it's like that never happened." Yeah. So it's just funny.
Okay,
You know,
cool.
again, they're making a moment. They're making a dramatic moment, you know, but you know, you sign up for that thing. Like you
Right.
know that they're going to do that kind of stuff. But it was just funny because when I first watched it, everyone was like, "How did you feel?" I was like, "It didn't happen." I felt, you know, I was just like,
Okay.
I sang another song. It was fine, you know. But it was, you know, it is difficult to hear anyone listen to you sing and then say, you know, that does suck. So I definitely wanted to prove myself for the second song, and I think I did. I'm happy. I'm actually pretty happy that he had me play the other one because the second song was much more me anyway.
What's one thing when you go into an interview, I'm pretty sure you've done a lot of them, that you know for a fact you're going to get asked about?
Probably "Sexy I Know It." That one or Glee. I mean, Glee is always asked about, which, you know, I don't have a problem with it at all, but that's definitely what I'm going to get asked. Because it's just like it's two of the bigger things that I've done. And that's totally fine. And a lot of people, you know, a lot of people still know me just for the covers and stuff. And I still get that to this day on my socials and stuff. People will be like, you know, they'll write in and say, I've listened to you, you know, since "Sexy I Know It," or I've listened to you since the U2 cover or whatever, and they always stay for the original stuff. And if they don't, it's like what we said earlier, like you're finding your own fans, whether you're losing followers but gaining the actual fans, or just gaining more followers on top of that. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going to get asked about "Sexy I Know It" most times, and it has gotten less frequent. That I think it's just one of those songs that maybe doesn't have the staying power that a lot of other songs do. You know, it was a pop song, it's kind of a flash in the pan song. So I don't know. I think it's just kind of people are just less aware of it now, which for me kind of works out in my favor because people just latch on to the original stuff more.
What's one thing you know you're never going to get asked about, and you're just like, man, I wish this person would ask me about this?
Man, I don't know if I've ever thought about that. Hmm. I mean, I guess what I like to be asked about is, you know, just my overall, you know, songwriting in general. You know, but I'm also not like, I don't really go into interviews with like I really hope they ask me about this or whatever. Like I just don't. I take it for what it is. You know, I'm gonna answer anything that I'm comfortable answering. I'll answer. But you know, it's I guess what I want is people to ask me about my music. You know, ask me about my stuff. That ask me about what I'm passionate about, and you're gonna get passionate answers, right?
Right. Well, that leads me to this. You did mention that I want to ask about songwriting, and that's the next thing on the agenda here. I want to know about this song right here, your single called "Wishing I Was Wrong." We're going to play a little bit of it, Noah, if you're cool with that.
All right, cool. Yeah, sure.
No second chances coming, all said and done. Now I'm watching you run straight into lonely, while I hide behind a face of stone, and I feel the weight of goodbye on me, and I knew all along I'd be wishing I was wrong. I knew all along I'd be wishing I was wrong.
Come on, man, dude. What so it's very weird to hear someone's actual voice versus their actual singing voice, because you have a low range voice, but you sing very high.
Yeah,
Does that surprise a lot of people?
Yeah, it does. I think just really just the overall like tone of my voice surprises my singing voice surprises people. Because I do, I'm kind of talk down here in this real vocal fry, like super low thing. But yeah, I think that's what I've gotten that kind of surprise shock response since I was 13 or 14, when I started singing. That's just what comes out of me. I don't know why. I just kind of started singing, and that's what happened. I guess technically I would be I think I'm kind of between a baritone and a tenor, because I sing maybe a little higher than my talking voice, but I can't really, I don't have a huge upper register. I'm trying to get better at that actually, but yeah, man, it's just, I don't know. That's just what's in me.
So where did the background of writing this come from? Because did you write this by yourself? Because I know you've written, you write some by yourself, but you also write with other co-writers as well.
Yeah, so this is a co-written one.
Okay.
I wrote this several years ago now. I wrote this with Adam Hambrick, who's a great singer-songwriter out of Nashville, and then Jessica Roadcap, who's also a great singer-songwriter out of Nashville. And we sat down and wrote this one day, and I always loved it. And for a long time, there were several kind of start and fizzle outs for this song. I would be like, okay, this song's coming out, this date, we're going to do it. And then something would happen and I'd have to rethink it, and then it would get pushed back. And that happened a few different times for this song. And finally, it's had its debut. And people seem to like it. I really enjoy this song. Just cause I just think it's kind of fun to listen to. It's a kind of a heartbreak song, but it's still up and fun. So yeah, I really enjoy it. I'm glad it's out there finally.
Well, I enjoy the entire album. I listened to it because your publicist has sent it to me, and the cool thing about it is it reminds me of John Mayer. Like going back to my love of John Mayer, it reminds me of the vibe, because I am I am in such a good mood. I will still listen to sad music that puts you down. It's just that's my type of music. I love feelings and kind of fast songs or up tempo songs. Sure, they have meaning, but not to me as much as a slow ballad would. And I think that, for me, this album is chock full. I mean, some of my favorites on here. I mean, I've got, of course, Wishing I Was Wrong, and then Things to Fix, High Enough, and then
yeah, I'm glad you like that one.
Of course, The Blue Wall is a favorite as well. But I'm telling you, brother, this album is I want to say this. I don't want to be the wrong. I think this may be your best one.
Well, thanks. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the goal, right? I mean,
right.
Every time you put out a new record, you want it to be the best one you got. So I agree. Personally, I'm proud of this record. I'm not, I don't mean it's perfect in any way. I just mean, as far as the best representation of who I am and what my music is, I think this one does the job. And I'm hoping to only grow from here, but I'm happy with it. I think these songs they're songs that are close to my heart, and I'm just honestly just happy that they're finally getting out there. It's been a long time coming for this record. So yeah, I'm glad you like them. I'm glad they resonate with you. That's great.
Cool. Well, Noah, look, you can get Blue Wall out January 14th of 2022. Wishing I Was Wrong is available now on all streaming platforms. Noah, I appreciate your hour and 10 minutes, however long we spent here, brother. I appreciate it. It was I don't really do these typical interviews. I call them chats, because I don't really ask questions that much. So hopefully it was something different for you, and hopefully we can get you back on in the upcoming future.
Yeah, thanks so much, man. I really appreciate it. I had a good time.
All right, Noah, have a good one. I will once this goes up on everywhere, I will